Yeah, I've seen a lot of people get really down because they post a video and, it doesn't get so many comments or, not a lot of people share it. And it can be frustrating when you, put so much money into a project and you think it might do better than it does. But that doesn't determine your worth or the worth of the project at the end of the day. And I think personally, I've found I have to know what makes me great as a person outside of dance and be confident in myself as a human being without needing dance or what happens at the studio as validation to confirm that, And then when you're in the classroom, you already are confident in who you are as a person, and you're just gonna now translate that through your dance and your teaching. Let dance just be for your own enjoyment, not to validate you as a person.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the one, the only Studio North podcast. Today we have Tommy once again. Welcome back to the podcast, Tommy. And we have a very, very special guest. She has been monumental in the Toronto dance community. She has been one of our faculty at Studio North Toronto from day one. She is a great, great friend of ours and an amazing woman. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one, the only Jac Valiquette. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
How are we feeling?
I'm excited to be here, excited to sit down and talk. And we don't get to actually do this too often. We're always dancing. So it's nice. It's nice to actually have a conversation about our past and dance and the future and all of those exciting things. So
heck yeah. We're really excited to get into this. So why don't we just jump back to, maybe take us back to the beginning?
Yeah.
First off, Valiquette, that's French.
Pretty French, yeah.
Pretty French?
I am a horrible French person, though, because I don't speak at all. My French accent was apparently pretty good in school, but that's as far as it went. I haven't pursued French after that at all. But it's more of a distant thing in my family. So
very cool. And then how were you introduced to dance? Was it something that ran in the family? Was it something you stumbled onto? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my situation's kind of unique a little bit, I guess. I'm kind of a fourth generation dance teacher. So my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my great-aunt, and my mom are all dance teachers and own studios. And so it kind of was like a natural thing when I was born that I was going to end up in dance class. And luckily I liked it, I guess. It could have gone bad, but from the time I was 2, I was in ballet class and then just kept going from there. And I did realize ballet was not my thing along the way, but that's kind of where I started out with it, and then started to add more styles as I got a little bit older. But my family, they were my teachers for the longest time, so that was pretty cool to be trained by them and to get to learn so much about the industry and having the arts as a career as well was huge for me, especially coming out of high school. And I was kind of an honor roll kid at school. I was really into getting good grades and being a goody two shoes. And then all my teachers were like, why aren't you going to university and pursuing a more traditional path? But kind of had my family to be a good example that a career in the arts was possible. So yeah, it was kind of cool to come up that way and get to experience it all firsthand.
So, first off, shout outs to your mom and your grandma, your whole family, so supportive of you for every show that you put on.
Yeah.
It's always so cool seeing them. They're all hands on deck helping out with whatever it is that you need, whether it's costumes, hemming, and they're just such sweet, amazing people. So we've loved getting to know them a little bit.
Yeah.
So they deserve a big shout out. What is it? Yeah. What was it like? I'm thinking about Tommy. I'm thinking about growing up in a dance studio. What was that like? Was that chaotic? Was it exciting? Was it fun? Were you just at the studio all day, every day? If you're taking ballet at 2, that's pretty early.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty early. I definitely was at the studio every day growing up. And the nice part about that was I did get to spend so much time with my mom growing up. So I'm very close with her and like always have been, because every day I'd come home from school and just get to go hang out with her at the studio, even on days that I didn't necessarily have classes. The downside to that was I didn't get to see my dad as much because he would work opposite hours to my mom. He'd work all day and then he'd be home at night. So I'd have to like try to find more time outside of studio to get to hang out with him and things like that. But you make it work, obviously. And I was always very interested in what the older kids were doing. I would sit in the classes in the back and like I would mimic them all the time and try to do the stretches and do the moves that they were doing, even though I didn't have the facility to be doing them at that age. But I just always wanted to copy and try to be like the big girls. So that's kind of, how I came up, and I was just, trying to learn from example, I guess, of all the other people that were in the studio. And it was cool to get to watch my mom teach too and see her at the front of the room, like conducting the classes. And that was pretty inspirational. So
for sure.
Yeah.
I bet that had probably a big effect on you potentially looking at pursuing teaching as a career, having such a strong role model like your mom.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
And makes so much sense. I feel like you're so mature for your age, if that's
Thank you.
cliche to say, but I feel like you were just surrounded by, role models your whole life, or like wanting to look up to people. So
Yeah.
that's great to know for Tommy.
Totally. He's going to be the next studio kid.
She's a great role model.
Oh yeah. We're going to have you in hip hop. Is that what we're going to do?
Absolutely.
Maybe ballet?
B-boying, hip hop, all the styles.
Oh yeah.
So so you born essentially in the dance studio.
Yeah, pretty much.
So from there, basically up until, you're teaching in Toronto, one of the top teachers in the city. Everyone knows who Jac is. What happened in between there? You grew up as a studio kid and then you found yourself in this place where you're teaching and leading in the city.
Yeah.
I bet you there's like a long story or history there, but like what were some of those like kind of key points you would feel like in your journey?
Totally. So I was just doing the studio kid life in like the years kind of 2 to 12. And then when I was around 12, because I'm from Guelph originally, Guelph, Ontario, shout out. It's
For those who don't know where Guelph is, where would that be?
It is like about an hour outside of Toronto. There's lots of cows there, and it's great. It's got a mixture of like country and the suburbs. There was like a field behind my house, and like, you'd always know when they did the manure every year. Like, that's kind of what my childhood was.
I love it.
So I was not a big city kid, that's for sure. And so, when I was around 12, we kind of like hip hop wasn't always a thing that we had at my studio growing up. And so I didn't get to start that when I was super young. It was kind of like a later addition. And then my Nana ended up bringing some teachers from Toronto in to teach at my studio. And that's when I really started to fall in love with it and like wanted to dive deeper into like all things hip hop and commercial dance and even more into jazz and stuff. So, those teachers, they encouraged me to start coming to Toronto to take classes. And I was like such a fish out of water. Like I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know anyone. And I was like a teenager at the time. So I was just kind of hiding in the back. And, but I was going to like the biggest classes and workshops and master classes that were happening, even though I was so terrified. Every time Luther would come to town, I would be in his class, like hiding in the back corner, but trying to learn everything that I could. And so like, that was very intimidating at first, but like, obviously over the years of doing it, I started to meet more people and, build some friendships that way. And then it became a little bit less scary, but I would travel a lot in those like early teen years too. And my mom was really like the MVP. She was always driving me to Toronto to train and take these classes. And then we would fly all over the place to go to Monsters and like continue to learn from these people. Because, the odd time we'd get a workshop that would come to Toronto, but the rest of the time, if I wanted to kind of keep learning from those people, I had to travel outside of the city to do that. And my mom was the real superhero there. She would drive me all the way into the city, go back to teach all day, and then come back to pick me up at the end of like we used to do 8-hour like Sunday, Saturday training when I was I was in a few companies like coming up, and yeah, she was a real champ for that for sure. And I couldn't have done it without her. And then when I was old enough to start riding the Greyhound from Guelph to Toronto, I would ride the bus.
Shout out Greyhound.
Yeah. Just back and forth, get back to Guelph in the middle of the night. My mom would like leave her car in the parking lot for me, and then I would drive it home and go to high school the next day. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So how, just to jump in and ask a question on that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you were pretty active in the sense of seeking out any opportunities. Now you compare that to like nowadays where there is so much more available. Like I even remember kind of same story for us growing up. Like there weren't really drop-in classes at the studio. We had to go and seek out these opportunities, whether that was conventions, like Groove Street way back in the day, Street Groove, or Monsters. And now there's like this, not to sound like old, but like there's just so much more opportunity and resources nowadays. How do you feel about that like change, that shift? Do you feel like you wish you kind of grew up nowadays where there was so many opportunities, or was there something special about putting in that work to go and seek those opportunities early on?
Yeah, I think it's definitely nice that those things are so accessible now, and we get a lot of like guest teachers from out of town, and they're open to teaching workshops and stuff, which is really nice. Like for the current generation of dancers that are taking class, it's definitely like a little easier to gain access to some of those things. But I definitely, once I got a taste of it, I just wanted more of it all the time. And I think we were having some workshops, and there would be big, guests. Luther used to come back pretty often and was teaching pretty frequently. And we'd get like Rhapsody James would come to town and teach. Like when OIP was around, there was always a lot of workshops and things there. So I would always go to those. But then I was kind of just hungry to get a little bit more of it. So that's where kind of Monsters came into play. And at that point, I still really wanted to be a dancer in my early teen years. And I thought that was kind of going to be my path until that shifted a little bit. But at that point, I was just wanting to network with more of those teachers and choreographers and be in front of them a little bit more frequently so that I could get better at their style, but also like get to know them a little bit more and build connections. So yeah, that was a large part of the motivation to travel, to go take more workshops and just kind of like widen the scope of my training. I was doing like pretty consistent training because I did join like a few companies over my time, like in my early years before I started teaching, which were really great for like my growth. And I definitely, we'd put in long days, and I'm like grateful for that now because I feel like it made me tough,
Totally.
And like the climate back then was like very different, I feel like, in terms of the training. Not that it was like any better or worse, but just like the approach was different,
sure.
I think. So I think like a lot of the time, there's pros and cons, but a lot of the time I do think about it and think back to it, and I am grateful that it helped me build some thick skin.
Yeah.
So I definitely am grateful to have been able to experience that time in Toronto, because I do think it's very different now. Not for better or for worse, but yeah, there's definitely been a lot of shifts over the years that I've been around. And I started teaching very young, so it feels weird for me to say that I've been like in the scene, like teaching for 10 years, but
when did you start how old were you when you started teaching?
18.
Nice.
Yeah. Which like arguably was like too young, but I was so hungry to do it. And like was really, really grateful to Right Foot Studio. Shout out Right Foot.
Yeah.
And David Forto and Greg was a big part of that as well at the time. And like David really took a chance on me by giving me a slot there. And at first I didn't have my own slot either. I would alternate. So JJ DeMello and I used to alternate every Monday, and we called it J&J Mondays. And we would each teach alternating weeks, and then we'd, cover and sub for each other whenever the other person was away.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we got into it. Like before we really got the opportunity to have a full class slot, we had to be tested out first. And yeah, it was good. And we were just really hungry to do it. And it was helpful in like forcing me to come up with new pieces and like create choreography. But also to like learn how to be a better teacher, because I had been lucky enough to observe a certain amount of things from my family and like how to conduct a good class and how to lead a room and how to, you know, get results out of people without having to, you know, be too harsh or like what motivates people. I kind of grew up observing that. So that was helpful for sure. But there's a lot of things that you don't really learn until you're actually in it, doing it. And so it definitely was like a learning curve and it took some time. And I'm so grateful for all the people who took my class at that time when I was still figuring things out. And then, yeah, it really just like expanded, went up from there. I started doing a weekly slot and then I would do multiple classes a week. I started teaching at underground shortly after that. And I was doing both. And then there was one point I was teaching 17 classes a week.
I was about to ask that. I was going to ask, how did that happen? And how did you, that's the most I've personally heard, like firsthand that I know of somebody teaching that many classes.
Yeah.
How'd you pull it off?
My girl Kalila, she still does it. I don't know.
Still.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So much respect for her. I don't know how she's the Energizer Bunny though.
She has a ton of energy. We love Kalila.
I definitely can't match that. I couldn't maintain it. But we kind of when the underground opened and had just expanded and they opened their other building, there was a lot more studios. And so they were wanting to fill a lot of that space up and I was wanting to teach more. So I did take on quite a few classes. And that, again, was like an experience I kind of had to go through in order to realize like, that's not the most comfortable amount of classes for me to be teaching in a week.
For sure.
I learned a lot through the process, but I definitely think I did burn out a little bit faster just creatively because I was having to come up with, you know, new choreography so often and even just like the energy, because when I do teach class, I like to give so much of my energy to my students. And so doing it that frequently did really like start to drain me a little bit. I'd finish teaching. I'd have to like go home and like not talk for the rest of the night, you know?
Totally.
But
what I will say is I think like super commendable on you to have like 17 classes. That's obviously that's a crazy amount of classes. But when you're first starting out, like you take the opportunities that are presented to you and you kick those doors down. And if I'm being honest, what I hear and what I see so often is, you know, people that are looking to get into teaching, but they only want to teach at a certain time of night on a certain day. And I don't want to call it entitlement, but I just think it's good to remind teachers that are getting in. This is going to be for you one day, Tommy.
Yeah.
Teachers that are getting into teaching, like, it's just like with anything in any given field. If you're given an opportunity, don't ask questions, just go, like kick down those doors because you have no idea what is waiting for you on the other side. And I feel like there's so much to be said for just taking any opportunity that's given to you and not being too picky about what that is. And so for you, you know, someone's offering you a ton of classes, you're looking to become a teacher. You could have easily said, you know what, actually, I want to make sure I'm pacing myself. I only want the quote unquote good times or the good days.
Yeah.
You could have done that, but instead it sounds like you were just like, nah, bring it on, like trial by fire. I'm going to learn how to teach consistently 17 times a week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to learn something from it. And I'm going to get one step closer to my goal, regardless what the actual conditions are of what time it is and what day it is.
Yeah.
I might be getting in a bit of hot water for that, but I do feel like that's something that I, as well, coming up, like, you were just grateful for any opportunity that were given to you. You didn't ask like any questions. You were just like, are you serious? You want me to like bet? I'll wake up at 9 a.m. and I'll be teaching if that's what you need from me.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes, you know, it's the opposite where it's, well, actually, I'm only going to say yes, or I'm only going to pursue this opportunity given this time frame or this time of day.
Yeah. My first class. So I did like, aside from David kind of really just, he took a gamble on me big time. When I started wanting to teach at underground, I did go through a lot of those next gen programs and like, it's great. I think that we still have those things now and in like obviously a different format, but like I did have to, you know, go through some of those protocols to start teaching there in the first place. And when I finally did get offered a slot at underground, the only class they had available was at 10 p.m. on Tuesdays.
Wow.
And so I took it because I wanted to teach so badly and I wanted to be there. So I said, yeah, we'll do it. And there was most weeks we were like filling that class up. There was like 35, 40 people there and we were just, we were having a time, but it was 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. And when I think about myself, like personally going to take a class at 10 p.m. Like I just can't even imagine doing it.
Totally.
And so I'm just so appreciative that people even came to that. And like, you know, that's bedtime for most people.
Yeah.
But we made it work. Like that was the opportunity that was presented. And so I said, okay, let's do it and we'll just figure out a way to make it happen. So yeah, it definitely wasn't ideal, but we did it.
Now, when you were teaching those classes, was every class that you had packed at 30, 35? Or like when you were first starting out, did you have like some on like the lower numbers, which I'm assuming?
100%. Yeah, I did. I was lucky at Right Foot to have a large supportive community there too. But then that kind of was like an anomaly there once I started to teach more frequently and at different studios. You know, obviously it changed and I was teaching different levels. I had like beginner through to advanced and yeah, there was a lot of weeks. There was weeks where no one would come to class. And like, that's always hard to accept at first, you know, it's like a little bit of an ego hit that no one comes to take your class. But I think that's something like every teacher has to go through at some point. And like, not something that we should just expect going into it either, that your class is going to be packed right away. Because it takes time and you have to build that community up and build those, you know, regulars and get to know your students and talk to them outside. And it like takes a while to start to build that up. Right Foot was such a community to begin with. And there was so many people that they were just there and they were down to take whatever class was happening. And so I feel like that was a lucky situation where a lot of my friends would come to take my class. And honestly, when I started teaching, most of the people in my class, they were just friends of mine, which was amazing because I, you know, got to have that experience while still having people in the room to teach. But then once I started kind of branching out and going to places where it wasn't just going to be my friends there all the time, like I really had to go through the waves of like, okay, maybe there's going to be 2 people today and I'm just happy there's 2 people here that I can teach. And then, you know, maybe next week there's 20 and then it really does fluctuate and you never know what to expect. But that's kind of part of what you sign up for with the drop-in game is you never really know what's going to happen on any given day. And I think it's important to not let it get to you and still deliver the same quality class to 2 people that you would to 25, no matter how many people are in the room. And so that was definitely something like over time I had to learn and adjust to, because it's, no matter who you are, like there's going to be some days where there's just not a lot of students and that's what it is.
Yeah, and what it sounds like I'm hearing is a lot of gratitude. And I think that is fundamental for teachers that are just getting started, is looking through that lens of I'm grateful for any human being that decides to take my class. And if nobody takes my class, I'm grateful for the studio for like giving the opportunity, but always coming at it from a point of gratitude. I feel like not just in the dance community, I would just argue in general, I think shortcutting to success has just been so common now. Like you start something and it's in this general ecosystem, economy / culture that we're living in. People just expect to become successful overnight. So they get like a weekly drop in and then, you know, the first week, you know, nobody shows up and then they get mad at the studio or they get mad at their friends or they get mad at themselves and they put themselves down. And I think it's just worth mentioning, like, that's normal. And I like normalize small classes. Like obviously everyone loves big classes. Like there's you can't lie about that. But I think understanding that it takes time to get there and like to expect that coming out of the gate when no one knows, maybe they do know who you are, but I think just putting other expectations from other people onto yourself, especially when you're starting out, it's just so damaging and it hurts so much. Like we've been there too. We've put those expectations on ourselves and we've seen it for other teachers and they get so discouraged when there is low turnout for their classes. But the successful teachers, including yourself, are the ones that stick it out for years and years and years until they get to a place where they're teaching and oftentimes their classes sell out.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that teacher who is starting out? They've been teaching for a while now, maybe under a year. They're not getting the numbers per se that they might be hoping for, and they're feeling discouraged.
Of course.
What would your advice be for somebody that's in that situation?
Just honestly, patience and self-promotion, I think, is a big part of it too. You have to kind of not be ashamed of posting your work online, or, you know, like really it ends up being where people are finding out about you and finding out about what they can expect from your class. When I look back on it now, I posted so many videos of my choreography at that time, and I'm like, who let me post that on the internet? You know, like it's so embarrassing to watch now. But I feel like that it has to be like that. If I was still content with the way that looked now, then I wouldn't have grown to the point that I wanted to be at, you know? So I think, yeah, you kind of had to have like no shame in just putting things out there, even if you felt like it wasn't perfect. Because that's how, you know, people started to come to my class. They would see things on the internet, and it was a tool. Like I was able to use that to kind of, you know, promote myself in a way, because the studio, of course, will promote you, but I feel like you can't be just dependent on that. You know, they have to promote a million other teachers as well. And there's so many classes, and you kind of do have to put some of that work in on your own too. And you can't feel like you're, you know, being full of yourself by posting your things on the internet either, because it really is just a tool for you. And if you know, you kind of are a product, like when you're selling your class like that. And so I think that that's like where the business side of it comes in a little bit too. I think a lot of people just look at dance as the artistic side, but there's, you know, the business aspect of it too. And if we want to have numbers and that success in the game, then yeah, there's certain ways that you can definitely aid that along for sure. And at first, you know, I did feel a little weird, like putting myself out there that much, but it really did make a difference in people just kind of getting to know who I was. And I had to just level with myself and always just assume that nobody knew who I was. And I think I still think like that sometimes, you know, when I'm posting things on the internet. And sometimes, you know, I've been teaching for 10 years, but there's still students who come to take my class and they don't know who I am. You know, it still happens. I had someone recently ask me if I was one of the teachers at Kode Red. And I said, yeah, I run the company, but it's like those moments always humble you, because you're like, yeah, not everybody knows, you know, and you always have to just keep that in mind, I think, because, you know, people will see things on the internet, but they don't always attach certain people's names to things. And I think it's just a good approach to take always, is just kind of, you know, not put yourself on such a high pedestal that you just assume everybody knows who you are.
Totally.
You know, kind of always have to keep working to get people to learn about you and your stuff, you know?
It's interesting, this like balance of being an artist. I find it's like this delicate balance of confidence and humility. Like you were saying, you have to have the confidence to put your work out there, and there's this fear that people aren't going to love what you created, and that really sucks. But then there's also this humility you have to hold, which is, yeah, you know, people might not know who I am. And that, bro, the amount of time we've had that at our own studio.
People are like, are you an FDA here?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I can help you.
Totally. And I think it's just the complete elimination of the ego of like, I don't have any, you don't have to know who I am. And that's totally cool. And I think honestly, that's where the most successful dancers, but also entrepreneurs, they've just dropped ego. They're doing what they love because they love it, not because of what it does for them or that it feeds their ego. And then as an artist, I think just that navigating that dance, no pun intended, but like that dance of having the confidence to say, you know, I love what I'm putting out and I'm going to throw it out there and I'm going to post myself because I have to promote myself, while also holding in the other hand, it's okay if other people aren't going to like this. That's not for everybody. And it's okay if I have to reintroduce myself to people and actually put my name out there. It's this delicate balance that I feel like is very unique in our realm. But obviously that you've, you know, done so well at, but I think that's that's something that you kind of learn by experience, I would say. It's hard to kind of like teach that.
Yeah.
But it is, especially when you're at the front of a room as a teacher and you're conducting a class, you got to have confidence. You can't be up there being like, well, I guess we'll do this, or I guess it's like, no, we're doing this. This is what I want to do. And that you're here to take my class, but then also keeping that, you know, that humility in the same line.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but I feel like that is like one of the massive keys to success is that balance between the two.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. I think a lot of it too comes from, like, personally, I've found I have to know what makes me great as a person outside of dance and be confident in myself as like a human being without needing dance or what happens at the studio or in the classroom as validation to confirm that, you know? And then when you're in the classroom, you already are confident in who you are as a person, and you're just going to now translate that through your dance and your teaching versus, you know, letting the number of people in your class or the response that people have to your work on the internet dictate how you feel about yourself and your own confidence, you know? And I think, yeah, I've seen a lot of people get really down because they post a video and, you know, it doesn't get so many comments or, you know, not a lot of people share it. And like, yeah, it can be frustrating when you know, put so much money into a project and you think it might do better than it does, but like that doesn't determine your worth or the worth of the project at the end of the day. And I think like that would be probably a piece of advice I would give as well, is just you have to know how great you are already as a person. Obviously you got to identify weaknesses that you have too, so you could continue to work on them. But yeah, you have to know what makes you a high value person, you know, outside of dance, and then let dance just be for, you know, your own enjoyment, not to validate you as a person, you know?
I love that. That's great advice. And I feel like, yeah, a lot of people need to hear that, especially in the age of social media. And just like you were saying, even like your view of like Instagram or self-promotion is a tool, like that. All of these things are tools. It's not the end all be all of who you are if you post this video and the response you get, like you're saying, is how people actually feel about you. Like that's not the case. Like you're just sharing a part of you, not like, oh my gosh, my career's over, or I'm over because no one reposted this XYZ. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like sometimes there's what's it called? How do I say this? Like, yeah, it's kind of like dramatic. It's like everything's dependent on this one post or this one thing. And it's just like, it's just social media.
Yeah.
It's a tool. I'm just using it how it's supposed to be used, not
having like your identity almost tied up in your, like, you aren't your social media page. That's not you. It is, I think maybe like it tricks your brain, because your brain, it sees like, you click on like, let's say Instagram, and you click and it says like Scott Forsyth and there's a picture of me. And so like your brain is like, this is me. This is an extension of me. This is part of me. My page is me. And so then we put value on that, whether people follow it, whether people like it, whether people unfollow it. But if you just completely scrap that concept and, like you said, see it as a tool, it's like a hammer. A hammer's not an extension of me existentially. It's just a hammer. I'm going to use it to hammer in some nails. Yeah. You use your page to hammer in some nails. Like you use your page to continue to push your career forward and build. Yeah. But I think it's and obviously the social media companies are doing everything that they can to make that part of your identity, because then you're addicted to it and then you're going to use it more and then they can make more money. Absolutely. But if we can like try to like break that down like a little bit, I think it would be really beneficial. I also liked what you said about meeting people where they're at. So for our generation, clearly anybody that's listening to the podcast, we're very millennial. So it's like Instagram's what we grew up on. We started Instagram and then we're continuing to use it. But then, you know, our parents are like Facebook.
Yes.
And then the newer generation is TikTok. And so I like what you said about meeting your potential followers or fans or supporters where they're at, and not, that just got me thinking like, yeah, don't think of it just like, oh, everyone else promotes their class like this, so I'm going to promote my class like this. It's like, no, there's so many different methods even within those platforms. So for example, people are like, oh, like post your class. It's like, yes, absolutely. You could post your class. You know what you could also do? You could DM send that poster to all of your friends, anybody that you saw at the studio that week, and you send it as a DM and say, hey, would love to see you in class.
Yeah.
Something people might not think about. They just might think, oh, I got to story it, or, oh, I got to post on my feed. But there's like, it's a tool. Try to like turn it upside down and find ways to use it differently that not everybody else is using. Chances are that's where a lot of that success is going to be coming from. So I really like what you said about that.
I definitely had to do that too in the beginning when I first started out. I did have to message my friends and say, I'm teaching tonight if you're free. Like, and part of it is not like you can't have shame in having to do that. I feel like, you know, obviously after I started to do it more often and got years in, I don't do that anymore, but it was a useful tool at the beginning when I first started out. And it can be like a little bit embarrassing to have to put yourself in that position to be like, oh, I have to ask, you know, I got to see if my friends will come, but if, you know, if they want to support, they will. If they don't, they won't. And like, you just have to be okay with it. But sometimes if you don't ask, you won't receive. So,
Totally.
it was helpful in even like, sometimes having to ask your friends to come to the studio and learn, you know, some of your choreos so that you can post it online and use that to help promo your class. Like sometimes there's more work that has to go in on the back end aside from just, you know, the story or, you know, whatever else we do to promote. But it's interesting too how things have shifted over the years in terms of promotion. Like the way that people make class promos now is so different than it used to be.
What would you say is different?
So, well, it also varies from person to person. Some people like that, like super minimal, you know, I'm just going to post like 2 words about my class tonight.
Tonight, 7 p.m. That's it.
Then there's other people, you know, like they'll post a full video, like they'll go in the studio and film it and then post it to use that as promo. So it does vary from person to person, but I don't know if it was just like a personal thing that I used to promote so much. Like I used to have to, like message people. It was like a big thing. If I was teaching, I was like, okay, I got to buckle down for like a day and really make sure that everybody knows that I'm teaching tomorrow and that, you know, I don't leave any stone unturned. Because if I want people to show up, I got to put the work in too and not just expect that there's going to be people there, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
I hope everyone's listening to this. It's so good.
Yeah.
So you briefly brought up Kode Red, and I would love to ask you a little bit more about Kode Red.
Yeah.
How did it start? What is it? Let us know. Let the people know.
Yeah. So it's kind of we'll do Sparks notes because it's a kind of a long story, but so we did start in 2018, and it was a very small group at the beginning. Honestly, just a bunch of my friends, and we kind of just came together because we had been approached by a production team about auditioning for a TV show. So we had to get a group together within a week and fly to Vancouver. And this was the first time we had done anything like this, but I didn't have a crew at the time. I was just very much doing my own thing, but I had a lot of really talented friends. So I said, why don't we do this together? And we pretty much did it for the sole purpose of just fulfilling this obligation of this audition that we had to go to.
Yeah.
And we kind of realized that we liked being together and we liked the like feminine energy that we had in the room together. So we decided we were going to keep it going. And then we did audition again for the same show the year after in New York. So we flew there. We had a few new additions to our group at that time. And then honestly, we were just kind of doing local shows. We'd shoot videos. We didn't train weekly. It was kind of just if we had a project we wanted to do or there was a show coming up, we'd come together and we would rehearse and get it done and do it. And we just wanted to kind of like promote the female empowerment and like, you know, like I wanted to show everybody how amazing my friends were too. And like, you know, help them get themselves noticed by even more people too, if we could kind of like, you know, do it together as a group. And so, we did that. And then I was honestly fairly content with that until, I was at the lowest point that I had been in my life. And a lot of changes had happened after COVID and the pandemic. A lot of things in the community changed. A lot of, we lost some spaces, we lost some leaders. There's a lot of confusion about like, what is a safe space and who can I trust and what's, somewhere I can go to dance and just enjoy myself and not have to worry about anything. And so at that point, that coupled with me being at such a low point, just from going through things in my personal life, it really motivated me to scratch an itch that was inside of me, but it wasn't loud enough for me to do anything about it until that time came. Like it really felt like the perfect opportunity and the perfect time to expand it and make it bigger. And I think prior to that also, I just didn't know if I believed in myself enough to do it. And then at this moment, I knew, like, I was like, this is when I have to do it right now because the timing is right. Even though I was emotionally dealing with a lot, I also just felt like it was the purpose. It was what I had to do in that moment. So we expanded and we had a season 1 audition. And honestly, we ended up with 25 girls on the team. We had even more at the audition, and they just blindly joined this thing. Like they really didn't know what to expect. We had like a little bit of proof of concept from our little 8-person group that we had, but nothing in terms of like what our weekly training would be like or what our program would be like. So they really just put their trust in me. I'm so grateful for them because they really like laid the framework for what we have now. And a lot of them are still with us dancing now, which is super cool. They're on their 3rd season and they've had so much growth throughout the process, which has been really cool to see. But yeah, every year we've just kind of continued to build and grow and expand, and we have doubled in size every time we've had an audition, which was something that I never expected that we would be 90 people deep at this point. But I'm just like so grateful for it every day because like that community is something that I personally needed. And I think a lot of the people within it really needed too. And we talk about it all the time. And it's just nice to have a space where we can go every week and we don't need to put makeup on. We don't need to, be doing anything for anyone except for ourselves and our teammates. And so, I just really wanted there to be a safe space for women in the community, to just be able to dance and enjoy themselves and build camaraderie with each other too, because I feel like that can be a hard thing to navigate in the community, is just like making friends and like genuine friends that you can keep for your life and not just a couple months, And so we were just really dedicated to the whole safe space of it all and the relationship building that would ultimately happen within it. And it's been cool. There's people I never thought would be friends who are super close now. And that was kind of the ultimate goal with it. And we've just done so many things now that I didn't think we would be doing at this point. And it's cool to be on that journey with them, and they inspire me to want to do bigger things and keep going, keep pushing, and put a lot into it. I definitely like throw my all at it. It's a full-time job for sure. And I teach way less now. I only have my 1 drop in a week, but the rest of that time pretty much goes to them and the girls, and making sure that they feel supported, that they have a mentor, that they're, getting guest teachers to come in, that they're getting to do performances, that we're making these things good experiences for them. We're giving them costumes. We're going to the different countries to perform and trying to provide opportunities that might not otherwise be there. And at the time when we expanded, there really wasn't, it felt like there was a bit of a void in the community kind of coming out of the pandemic. We had all-female groups in Toronto in the past, for sure. There wasn't a ton that were really active at the time. So it felt like that there was a little bit of a hole that needed to be filled. And there's also been quite a few that were just like heels-focused companies. But we wanted to take a different approach and be like a super multidisciplinary group. So we kind of felt like we were carving a different path. And something that maybe the city hadn't seen before, and try to model it in a different way so that it was something new and something fresh. So it was really kind of the approach we took with it, but just so grateful for how it's unfolded and grown over the last 3 years. We're on season 3 right now. So still way more to go, but we're having a good time while we're here. Yeah.
I love that. What's fun? You're just so excited. You want to
He's so
dance
full of
with
life.
Kode Red, don't you, buddy?
Oh,
yeah. One common denominator I feel like we see in so many successful teams and groups and companies is it all just started with a bunch of friends doing it for fun.
Yeah.
And I know it's tempting, especially for, you know, dancers that want to start a successful team or a successful group, going into it saying, we're going to be, you know, we're going to be the best, that like, we're only going to have the best dancers. We're going to train the hardest. We're going to be the best in the world. And oftentimes that won't bring out the success that you're hoping for. Whereas you look at just friends that are doing what they love with the people that they love, that tends to go a lot further. Like, honestly, every single, you know, team and company that's in headlines these days, in the dance community at least, it all basically started as just friends. Like, right, buddy? Oh, I was just saying, like Style and Grace, Brotherhood, any of these teams that you see on the, you know, international circuit, as well as dance companies, it's all just started from, hey, we're like a group of friends.
Yeah.
We love doing this. Let's try it out. And then it just blossoms and turns into something so much bigger. Absolutely. I love that. I think, I don't know what it is, but I feel like and you could probably speak more to this. We were just talking about how, like, where are all like the females, where's all the support for the females in Vancouver and in Toronto with regards to, like, why is it always like men that get all the opportunities? And like, there's so, if you just look at the number of male teachers to female teachers, it's pretty skewed. And it's just an interesting conversation to have of like, okay, well, you know, why is that? And what can we actively do to even that out? And I feel like, you know, with Kode Red, what's awesome and great too is you're also mentoring a lot of these, you know, dancers, and they're going to be the future, you know, teachers and educators, which is so important, specifically in Toronto, but also I would argue it. I mean, you could say this about every city. We only have really expertise within Vancouver and Toronto, but we see it. Like we're really trying to actively, like, okay, we need to get like another female teacher, like who's out there. And it's like, well, why is it so hard to find? Yeah. Like, it shouldn't be hard to find.
Really, yeah, it's pretty wild that it is, and it was very cool too when we were starting out, that, and like over the years that we've been doing this, like Carmen's been such a big inspiration to me too, and like seeing what you've done with Style and Grace here, and all of the girls are, you know, seeing them like teach their own classes, and they're all like so incredible at what they do. It's inspiring. Like, it makes me want to push even harder to do that for the girls in Toronto. And over the years, we've got to like do some cool cross collaborations. And Carmen has set pieces for the Kode Red girls for their shows, and I set a piece for the Style and Grace girls for their show. So anytime we're in the opposite city, we try to connect and work together, because I feel like it's important for the women like for Kode Red to have other role models that they can, you know, learn from and see like, yeah, this is a really badass, powerful, strong woman who's like a businesswoman and a choreographer and a teacher and like a mother and like all these other things. And like, it's really cool for them to see that you don't have to put yourself in a box, you know? So we do bring in like a wide variety of guest teachers, but the last 2 Kode Red shows we've done, actually our only guest choreographers, they were all female. So it was kind of cool for the girls to just get to work with like a whole bunch of other really cool, strong women. So that's important to us too. And I know that it is for you guys, because we
totally, I know. Yeah. I was just going to say, it's been cool to watch you on this journey. And even from like the beginning, like it just fit, and I just knew it was going to be successful right away. Like, I know, it did start from friendship, but I think it's also a testament to just who you are and like how you've built yourself up over the past however long, 10 plus years as a teacher. And I think that's really commendable. Or like, the people are coming for you too, and like see the value in who you are, and just want to learn from you and be surrounded by you. So it's just been so fun working with you and getting to know you and having, like a another all-female crew across the coast to coast to get to collaborate with. And all the girls love you too. Like they're obsessed.
Likewise. They get so excited
really
when you come in.
Yeah,
I love it.
we've been able to share that and have like similar values. But I've just, love seeing you step into Kode Red and leading, so many, like 3 companies in one. It's been, just keeps growing. And so we're super happy and proud of you
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's so sweet. And I remember when I was kind of just about starting on this whole journey of deciding to expand, and so obviously going from 8 people to 90 was a big difference, but, I remember getting a really great book from you guys too, with like such a nice note inside. And it was cool because I know like you've been working with Style and Grace for so long, and you guys have been doing this for quite a few years before we decided to do our expansion. So it meant a lot to have that book come down, because it's a leadership book, if anyone is wondering what the book was about. And Carmen told me that she had read that book when she started Style and Grace. So it was really like sentimental and cool to just like know that I had someone else in my corner that had kind of been through something similar. And that we were just, we have very similar mindsets, but we're also kind of doing different things, which is cool, and allows us to like collaborate all the time and bring different flavors. And it's very cool. The girls get amped every time they get to learn from Carmen. So I love that. Yeah, we've been really trying to like incorporate to like our core girls who started with us had been with me for so many years too. And I, when it came time that they wanted to start teaching and like, setting their own choreography, I wanted to make Kode Red a model where I could eventually start to pay them to teach and give them opportunities to teach, because that was like an important thing to me too, that they did so many shows with me for free over the years. And once I could be in a position to pay them for anything, I wanted to be able to do that. And we have a bunch of them on our faculty still now too. And they also set guest pieces when showtime comes around. So it's cool to be able to have like that nice core group of female role models for the girls to look up to, and not just me. Like I want them to be able to be exposed to a lot of different cool women, and I think it's inspiring, honestly. Makes them want to push harder. So yeah.
That's awesome to hear everything. We're again so proud of you, and like love seeing Kode Red succeed and grow. But yeah, back to Jac. Are there any cool projects or things that you've been working on that you're allowed to share?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm a little bit weird because sometimes I don't want to say things before they happen because I don't like to throw off the vibes. But yeah, we've definitely been working on some stuff, and it's important that I try to like also still be myself and like have Kode Red separate. But lately, like a lot of what I have been working on has been Kode Red related, just because we're kind of nearing the end of our season. So we are going on a big trip to LA in February. The girls are going to get to perform at Carnival and Jete, which is cool. Something we haven't done before. And I think it's a first for a lot of them. So that'll be a fun, exciting little trip. We're going for 10 days. And there's over 50 of them coming along on the trip. So that'll be super fun, and something to look forward to. We're not doing a Kode Red show this season. I guess this is where I can announce that to everybody, because a lot of people think that I'm lying when I say that. But we're actually we're just finishing our season with this Cali trip. So we will be doing one the following year, so 2026 in February, if anyone wants to put that in the calendar. But yeah, I've been doing that with them, and we've kind of been trying to shoot a lot of video projects and kind of get the girls more used to being on camera. So that's something a lot of them wanted to work on. And then, yeah, I just had the opportunity to run Sean's audition, which was pretty cool. I guess that would be like a little while ago whenever this ends up coming out. But I've been inspired by him and his music for a long time. So that was really cool to do. And been working with Mark a lot on some commercials and other projects. And he's been an inspiration of mine for a long time too. So it's been cool to get to work with him a little bit more. And I learn so much from him every time because he has been in the industry for so long too. So I've been trying to learn everything I can. And that's always been like a big thing for me, is just trying to absorb whatever I can from the people who did it before, and then obviously put my own twist on things, but try to take notes and learn because those people went through it already, you know, and they definitely have good advice when it comes to pretty much anything. And most of them are still doing it. So it's very, very respectable to see people who have like made such long, amazing careers. And extra kudos to the people like that who are also willing to like share that knowledge and pass it down to the younger generations. I'm always like very appreciative of that too. So yeah, it's been cool. Got some other surprise things cooking, but
come on,
gotta wait for those. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say somebody wants to come to a Jac class. They want to come, they want to experience your class. What can they expect? What would they expect in a Jac Valiquette class?
Very good question. I think with a lot of my students, we joke, a lot of 8s. That's typically what we end up having every Tuesday. Every Tuesday at 7, you can come through. But yeah, that's always been something. I mean, generally when I'm structuring my class, it's either speed or length. We're going to go for one or the other and kind of hyper focus on one of those 2 things for the day. Some days we're just feeling rogue and we do both. But I think for the most part, like something I always really appreciated and still do when I'm taking class is a class that just jumbles my brain a lot. And I've always just enjoyed being like really overstimulated by having a lot of choreo to parse through. So I do kind of like to bring that to my class. I feel like it's like a good push for us mentally and physically most times because it's never not full out. Yeah. I think that's kind of the underlying theme, but definitely like a good supportive environment as well, because if we're going to do something that we're struggling through, like we're all struggling through it together. So, you know, I kind of just remind people that in class, that it's never that deep either, you know, and we're going through it. Sometimes we need a week 2. That's okay. You know? And so usually I like to structure my class that way. We do our week 1, week 2 format. Cause I feel like, you know, sometimes we need that redemption round to just make week 1 about learning the choreo and sequencing and getting the phrasing down pat. And then week 2, we kind of dive into working on the execution a little bit more and the performance. Maybe you want to work on your levels or, you know, your textures and dynamics. And so we use week 2 for that. And typically only pull out the camera on week 2 as well. Just so that people kind of know what to expect. Week 1, we're just diving in on the learning part. And then week 2, we're working on those secondary things that sometimes take a little bit of extra time to cook, you know? But yeah, definitely a lot of choreo every time, but I think that's important. And I think there needs to be classes like that in the city that, and there definitely are, but yeah, I think that's definitely a focus for me is I want to give people a lot of material to have to work through. So yeah.
Where can people find you online? You can plug all that.
Yeah. It's just at Jac Valiquette on Instagram. My name's a little tricky to spell, but just JAC. If you type that in, it should come up. And then the fancy French last name. And then, like YouTube, I think it's the same, honestly. Also, Kode Red is at Kode Red _TO. So you can find us there. We've been trying to post a little bit more over there so that everyone can
I love all the social media content.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. They have some people helping out with that in the back end. So yeah, we've been trying to get a little more active on there so people can see what we're up to. But yeah, those are kind of my 2 main channels. I would say I'm on Instagram the most. So yeah, I'm just posting my work there and class promo and anything you need to find. Yeah.
We didn't get to talk about this much, but yes, if you do follow her, please check out all of her amazing, crazy concept videos. The highest production I've seen. And she puts fire everywhere, literally. She put, you put your all into them, and I just love watching it all. So definitely go follow and look at all of her amazing things. Maybe next time we're on the podcast, you can tell us about producer Jac.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for being in Vancouver. It's always so fun having you in the city. Thanks for taking the time to come all the way out. and record while you're here. If you like this episode, please like this video, follow us, subscribe, share it, all the things. We appreciate it. And we'll see you on our next episode, the Studio North Podcast.
Peace.